So if I'm a startup nonprofit, what are the things I'm typically going to come to New for?
Sure. We have a program called Resource Connect, and the goal of that program is to basically provide general guidance on nonprofit management issues. Every week, we get people approaching Resource Connect about starting a nonprofit. So while we can't spend 50 hours providing legal and accounting assistance, we can provide the roadmap and guidance. We can say, here are the steps you want to take. Here's some resources that are out there. Some are free, some are paid resources. Here's some of the best practices we've seen, and here's some other organizations you should talk to, because often when people come with their new ideas, we really try to encourage them to find other organizations that are already doing what matches their passion, just so we don't end up with too many organizations in the same space.
Excellent. And then as it relates to the office space, typically do you see somebody come in when they're a newer nonprofit that needs to just kind of have that incubation period and then they spin away? Or do you find that your tenants kind of stick on and stick around for a number of years?
Actually, it's interesting how much that's changed. When New opened our doors, our goal was to incubate. And we had a rule. We said you can be in the building for 3 or 4 years and then you have to move out. And then about 10 years ago, we realized that was really disruptive for the nonprofits that weren't ready to move out. And it was also disruptive for us because we kept having to find new tenants to fill the space. And so we switched to really trying to support organizations that had already established themselves. So now today we actually do both. We do get a lot of startups coming to us, and what we'll do is we'll slice and dice our space up. So we'll take one office and split it up into 4 corners. We actually have an office like this, and each corner has one nonprofit in it. On the other hand, we do have a lot of organizations that have been in the building now for 12, 13 years, and we're just as proud of that because these are organizations that make a real impact. And we're proud that the money that they save, the resources that they have that they wouldn't have otherwise, and the community that they're in are all benefits to them.
We talked off camera just a minute ago, but there's got to be something too to be said about just being able to be around other people in the nonprofit arena so that you have somebody to bounce ideas off of, to talk about your work. How much does that happen when you see people occupying the same space where they might not do the same thing, their nonprofits might be completely different, but they must feed off of each other in terms of energy and ideas?
Oh, absolutely. So when we ask tenants what they like about being in the building, low rent's always number one. The rent we charge is well below market rents, which is why we exist. But really high up on the list is the fact that a lot of these organizations only have 1 or 2 staff, or maybe they have all volunteer staff. And if they weren't at the New Center, they would be in their own home office or maybe in a cubicle somewhere at a company's location. They tell us they feel like they're not alone, that they have other people to bounce ideas off of. And our building is full of nonprofits that have very little in common. We have a boy choir, we have a watershed council, we have a home disabilities assistance service. And so while they're not necessarily collaborating deeply on their activities, it's that sense of community that you wouldn't have otherwise. And actually, there's actually a national network of facilities like us. And Youthville in Detroit is part of that network, as is Hand in House in Detroit. And the idea is creating these shared community spaces for nonprofits because so many of us are small shops, not much staff, and always working so hard. And it's nice to see other people in the same situation.
What's your capacity? I mean, we know now that times are tough. It's hard to fundraise. It's hard to find the volunteers, and it's hard to find the money. Do you have an unlimited capacity in terms of how many folks you could host?
Sure. You mean in the building, or just generally speaking, services, or
either or?
No, we don't have an unlimited capacity, and in fact, I would say we're kind of reaching it with Board Connect. Board Connect is full-time staff of 3. It's a large team for us. And we're getting to the point where, and this is a nice problem to have, there's so much demand for our services where we work with full boards. So in addition to the matching, we actually do a lot of work with full boards and teaching them how to be more effective, how to fundraise, how to manage staff, how to structure their committees, that sort of thing. And we're up to more than 1 a week. So more than once a week, we're meeting with full boards at their board meetings, at their retreats, and giving them guidance on how to make their organizations more effective. That is really great and high impact work, but it is incredibly time consuming. And we're actually discussing this internally is we're pretty much hitting our maximum for the number of organizations we can support. So we can do 1 or 2 things. We can just stay at that number. We feel that there's more need out there than what we're meeting now. So the other thing we can do is talk to some foundations locally about potentially expanding the team so that we can serve more organizations. Same is true on the IT side. We feel like we actually have capacity to do more. So that's a really important point. The IT program we run, we install our IT systems at other nonprofits, and then we take them over. And so in other words, another organization can forget about their IT because we'll manage it for them. It's outsourced in information technology.